So Caroline, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, a pleasure.
My first question is, could you please explain to me what McLaren Applied Technologies does?
Right, well, I'll first start by telling you the McLaren Technology Group has got 3 companies. It's well known for its racing companies, so we have a Formula One. We have an automotive company that makes those really lovely high-end cars. And then we have a technology company, and this is McLaren Applied Technologies, that has been set up about 8 years ago to exploit Formula One technology in outside motor racing and the traditional areas of McLaren. And 18 months ago, we merged with our electronics company to become a bigger Applied Technology. So we were 3 when I joined, employee number 3 in 8 years ago, and we're 300 now. Wow. And we've grown. So a big part of our P&L is still in motor racing, in the sensors, the electronics. But the fastest growing area is very much what we do outside that. And we're exploiting the heritage that came from Formula One. So things like our design capabilities, simulation, data analytics, telemetry, control systems, embedded control, and electronics, obviously. And we exploit that by bringing those qualities together and working with leaders in other industries and co-create products or systems or solutions. So we tend to we tend to join up to create something innovative, but our partners at the moment are the ones taking it to market.
And if I'm not mistaken, everything you do is driven by data, right?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, you know, in this sort of strange world of Formula One, you think everyone does that. So I spent 10 years of my life in Formula One, and you're very insular. You think, you know, what the next thing to make your car go faster, and you're so used to using data. Then when we first started going into other areas, we were surprised that people weren't using data to the extent that we did. And then we realized, well, actually, we're quite good at this. That might be a skill that we can work alongside others to get more insight from the data. It's one thing to record data and get it. It's another thing to really use it usefully. And that's where we started doing these decision support systems that are real-time. That real-time can mean many different things to different people, but that are right-time, so that you can make business decisions based on a continuously improving dash of your industry, whatever that is for you.
So you mentioned there kind of about collecting data and stuff, right? So a huge, you know, everyone is collecting data at the moment, right? But there's a lot of talk about a data utilization gap. What do you think businesses can do in order to overcome that?
Well, one thing that we've learned is team up with others that do it and see how they're doing it and brainstorm for how you can really get value, because other people have cracked it, and often looking at what people have done will give you ideas of how you can really bring insight into your business. I'm not saying that it's all been done before, but often looking at a non-competing industry is really helpful in bringing out new ways of doing things. If I give you an example, we work in oil and gas, and we knew nothing about drilling, but we knew how to use models, how to get data in real time from drilling. We knew how to look at historic data and use that to have confidence level into how we're going forward. We brought it all together because they've got competing levers for their industry of drilling as fast as possible, because non-productive time costs a lot, but you can't compromise safety. And as well, you've got an aging workforce of drillers that know exactly what they need to do, but the young ones, it's increasingly hard to drill and it's hard to train people. So how do you solve this? Well, we thought, well, we'll help you run your models in real time. So they used to do their planning for drilling, and then here's the plan, and the drillers would follow the plan. If things didn't go right, well, it's experience, I'll handle it. Why not continuously plan? As you get new data, just revise your plan as you go along and broadcast that so that everyone that are stakeholders in this see the same information. And you know, it's not rocket science, but it's something that the company wasn't doing, and it's something that we used to do on the pit lane. Everyone's got to look at the same data so that the decisions are done correctly. And the decision must be made at the point of highest knowledge. And that is not normally at the top of the company. It's at the different points in the company where that knowledge resides. But you want everyone to benefit from these. So this is the kind of skills, that's what I mean by bringing together a number of things together. Even if we're not the expert, we can bring something to the mix. And these people, they announce that they think on some of their wells they cut down by 25% non-productive time. Now that's stunning. But that's because you're giving your employees ways of making better decisions.
I mean, obviously with the oil stuff, I was doing a little bit of reading before the interview. I saw you guys work with Specialized and GlaxoSmithKline as well. I mean, could you explain to us a little bit about
Absolutely. I mean, Specialized is a lovely story because they came to us wanting to build a bike that their marketing department, not that I've got anything against marketing departments, but of course they'd already said that they would do a better version of their Venge before their engineering department were not succeeding in doing a better one. They already had a good bike and they put it to their riders and they all prefer the old ones. So they were, a California-based company. For them to come and approach us and say, we'd like to do a lighter, stiffer bike. Could you do one? And the kind of deal that we did with them was that if we didn't succeed, we weren't getting paid. But we pretty reasonably confident we could do that. And we exceeded what they asked us to do, which was great. But even better for us is that they did the launch at our headquarters in the UK. They never launched in the UK. And then that was the Friday, and the Saturday we won the race. Our bike won the race. Matt Goss, who never won a race before at that level, the Milan-San Remo race, and then Mark Cavendish got the green jersey on it. So fairy tales start to a business partnership, but it's based on the fact that it was a good bike, and then after that they wanted to work more with us. And how we wanted to work with them was that we don't build the bikes, but we thought we'd help them design the bikes better. So we asked them, really, can you break down what makes a bike go fast? And they couldn't really say, because a lot of it was trial and error. So we did a lot of modeling and simulation and got to a point where we helped them design bikes by providing them with tools. And so that partnership is alive and well still, because it's both sides win in this. We get repeat business, and they get good bikes, and we get great publicity out of the partnership, because we needed this kind of relationship, because as MET has grown organically, so we generate a revenue, and then we reinvest that in the company. And as a result, we needed this kind of story to shout that we do not just Formula One and automotive within McLaren, but we do other things. And the Glaxo story is a similar one, where a lot of people think, well, very different. What do you know about pharmaceutical? Well, we don't, but we've helped on a number of strands where we knew we had strength, and therefore when we looked at the kind of projects we could do with them, we helped them, and you could see the parallel with Formula One on telemetry during clinical trials. So telemetry on people, well, it's getting data out of people that are not next to you, and getting that data analyzed and see whether you can get some value out of it that will enhance what you already get from your clinical trials. So we did their very first study that they ever done with people wearing devices in their own homes. So that was really good for us. We're running another one right now, so that's our second one with them. But that's one strand, so the R&D strand. We've helped them look at data during, so it's very complex, the world of their pharmaceutical development, and they have a lot of data of compounds that they do over years. Obviously, it's a very long process. And knowing when they've explored enough in one direction and it's maybe not really going anywhere and go in a different direction, they get lots and lots of data, and they were struggling to really visualize it. So we helped them try to make sense of that to make better decisions. And another example is their production line. Now, you'd say, well, production line, that's engineering, manufacture, and so on. And actually, there were quite a few things that we were able to do. We weren't sure, again, what their issues were, so we went and visited a number of their production lines. And through a combination of factors, one of which is that we don't approach that as the consultants might. Normally, we're That's not what we're trying to do. But it tends to generate some interest. Oh, McLaren are here. Why are you here? What is it? And we talk with them and try to find what are the nuggets of issues that they might have that we could help. So we do listen a lot. But we also help in, again, what I was saying earlier, getting data on their planning and their utilization of their production line so that it's a dynamic process. Now, it's a very complex mathematical problem, actually, to do all the planning on different production line when you have different types of drugs being done. And how do you optimize this well when one changes or your ribbon machine stops and then on the other line some other issue, right? And that happens all the time. How do you recover from this most effectively? And it turned out to be quite a fascinating problem to work on. Mm. And again, they want us to then roll this into more and more factories. So it's a voyage of discovery. We didn't start this particular partnership knowing what it is that we were going to do with them. But with them, we work alongside and realize that there were quite a few things that we could do. And it's been mutually beneficial because we learned a lot through this. We learned how to work with a big corporate and how it can be beneficial and where our strengths lie as well.
Yeah, so it seems though you work across a bunch of different sort of categories, verticals, whatever. So are there any limits to data? Are there any sectors that perhaps someone has approached you and you've gone, no, actually, you know what, we can't.
That's a really good question, actually. I was going to just say, oh yeah, the financial sector. When we first came into, started looking at this, we thought, well, the finance sector, they've got it sorted. We don't need to go there, they do data. But actually, a year ago, we got approached by KPMG to look at their audit business. Now, that's not the same as audit, but still, I never thought we'd ever touch finance. And I didn't even know what impairment meant. And so we started working with, I thought the most unlikely company that would come along. And it turned out that they have these impairments. Is for them, when they're doing an audit, is they've got to try to put a value to some intangibles, things that it's hard to quantify, to be objective about. There's so much subjectivity that then they need some backup. So they're doing this through a lot of experience. But again, actually, if you start using a lot of modeling in simulation and looking at what the market trends are like, what are your competitors in this area are like, and start doing a lot of what-if scenarios in a very iterative fashion, then it leads to more, I'd say, greater belief in the assumptions that you're doing. So you're not, obviously, you can't view the future, but it helps you have confidence that this option might be closer to the truth than this. And we've actually now been working with them for almost a year. And in a partnership that is a 10-year partnership that we've signed with them. And we've had our first audit tool develop and is being rolled out for them. I never thought we'd go into this area, so there you go. I was proven wrong. But there will be areas that are harder for us to crack because they're probably busier and there's already a lot of people in it. Whereas I think there's so many areas where we haven't explored yet, and the big one for us is health. We really want to do more in health. There's somewhere where there is a lot of data. We all can benefit from a health service that is better connected, and it costs too much at the moment because it was designed ages ago and we're patching it and so on. That can't continue, but data will help us do things more efficiently, and we're really keen to get into this. So we have done baby steps in this area, but we're going for it. And we've got a partnership with Oxford, and they're a surgical department, and we're got already a number of projects going, and we've got ambition to start tackling bigger ones like cancer, the treatment of cancer, and your journey through that, and how could all the data that we already know about the treatments for you as an individual, based on other people like you, what is good for you, what is maybe not so good for you, and support the patient in making the decisions as well as the clinical teams. And we just think this is an area for a lot of people to be in, and we have appetite to go in as well.
Most of your day-to-day stuff is sort of data, right? Everything you do is data, and I imagine the people you work around is also data. How do you ensure that creativity comes out? Because the companies that you have to work with, creativity needs to permeate in their work?
Well, we have a range of people. Yes, data informs everything we do, but we have really good designers and product designers, and it may sound as though people working in data are not creative, and some are very creative, and it's that mix where you need people that will think sideways and come up with links that you wouldn't have thought, and other people who are very, very focused on delivering high quality. And that's often slightly different skill set, and we need all of them to do something successful. So we'll have super bright and focused individuals that are mainly sort of a vertical knowledge, and we've got very broad engineers as well that will link things together. And we try to build teams when we work on projects that include a number of them, so that we have from an early stage the creativity, but also can it be done, because we obviously want to deliver, so we have to make sure that what we come up with, however wild it might seem, that is actually deliverable.
I saw that kind of McLaren had you guys make a real drive to kind of promote STEM education. Why do you think that's so important, and is there a shortage of that in the UK?
Yes, actually it's very important, and we make a big show of that. For our size, we do loads of talks in universities and schools. We bring kids in into the factory to promote all these science subjects and engineering subjects, because there's a shortage, frankly. The economy is doing well in this area, manufacturing, engineering. We're competing against many other people, the Jaguar Land Rovers of this world, for example, and so it's a good time to be studying this, but for us, we have to promote it, because we're going to really run short. We've got ambitions to grow big, and we want good people, and therefore we've got to do our part in promoting it and bringing people. We have apprenticeship, we take on internships. We really want to show that we believe in the next generation, and for that, we've got to put something in to get something out.
If there was one area that you could solve using McLaren's technology, what would it be?
Healthcare.
Healthcare.
Definitely.
Are there any trends that you can see?
Well, the main reason is I think the NHS is broken at the moment, and I want my kids to have really good healthcare too, and we can't afford what we're doing at the moment, and yet it's not impossible to solve, but it requires bold initiative and people to carry it through, and there's loads good out there, good initiative. They're just not necessarily coordinated in a way that really has the impact that it should, and patients are demanding more, and patients want to, all the technology we've had, we're taking ownership of our own health, we're ready to share our data, and we want it to happen, and we've got to enable that. And I think it's an enablement more than anything else.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.